So to get started, I want to talk about some flawed ideas with Terastallization. So here we have a team, it's not perfect because I've been messing around with it, but it's based on the new snow mechanic, how it raises ice type's defense by 1.5 times. So Abomasnow sets up the snow with its snow warning, and then it sets up Aurora Veil to even further raise our defenses. So Chien-Pao, Weavile, classically not too bulky Mons, but they have a lot of damage output. With Aurora Veil and Snow, their defenses are actually really high, and they can survive even fighting type moves without terastallizing, just because they're so bulky from Aurora Veil and the new Snow mechanic. But a lot of the times with teams like this, especially here, this composition relies on Tera Blast. So the idea is we get Magnezone to get rid of the steel types with its Magnet Pole, Choice Scarf, Tera Blast Ground. With Grimmsnarl, it can just OHKO almost anything. And this is really good, especially for our ice types. Our ice types are weak to steel, mainly. And then, Gyarados, Tera Blast, Flying gets rid of our fighting types. So these guys don't even have anything to worry about, and they can just clean up the field from there. The problem with this is we're using Tera Blast like hidden power, and this can get us into a lot of trouble. So say for example we Terastallize ground with Magnezone, we Tera Blast, we get rid of the steel type, awesome. Chien-Pao, Weavile, Abomasnow, just any ice type Pokemon, they don't really have strong moves. Here, if we have really high attack stat, Abomasnow, it has a respectable attack. It's not too high. There's not too much you can do with it. Even if you want to do Blizzard, its special attack's not too high either. It's the same stat. There's not much you can do. I mean, 120 base power is good, but its attack stat's not the greatest. You can Tera Blast for coverage, get a lot more damage off that way. But keep in mind, we already Tera Blast with Magnezone, and I mean, now this is normal type, so we really only have one move. I mean, we can get rid of a Helping Hand, but that neuters our damage output even more. I mean, Chien-Pao, its best move is 85 base power. That's horrible. I mean, Crunch is bad, Sucker Punch bad, its base powers are not the greatest. You can Tera type Ice, to boost that to 2 times rather than 1.5 times with regular stab. Put a Life Orb on it, get that damage output out. I mean, it just doesn't work, because, this Tera Blast, normal type, this Tera Blast, normal type, Weavile needs Tera Blast too, because, I mean, its best move now, because of the nerfs to Weavile, I mean, its best move is 70 base power. That's horrible. I mean, Tera Blast is its best dark type move. I mean, even with the 2 times boost, it's still not the greatest. Gyarados, really good partner of this team. It needs Tera Blast too, because it doesn't have a lot of coverage that's too useful for what we need. And I mean, this is a normal type move now too. So this is ground type, this is normal, this is normal, this is normal. That doesn't work. Same thing if you need a flying type move. There's not too many partners you can put with this team where this works out. So you can't really use Tera Blast in this way. Another example of using Tera, more for support this time, Mimikyu in the past has been really good Trick Room setter. You put Mental Herb on it, you get Disguise ability, you go for the Trick Room, you can't be faked out unless it's a scrappy Pokemon, and your Disguise helps you from taking a lot of damage. You just essentially almost get a free Trick Room off unless you get put to sleep or something. It's even stronger in this generation because, Flamigo is the only Pokemon that learns Scrappy, as an ability, but it doesn't learn Fake Out. So it can't use Fake Out, it can't stop our Mimikyu with Fake Out. It just doesn't work. And now in this generation, it's even stronger because you can put it on any Pokemon. Mental Herb, Bronzong, Tera-type Ghost. You can't be faked out in this generation, but you can use Trick Room still. You can Tera-type Ghost, Trick Room, Mental Herb, you can't be taunted. You can be put to sleep, but that's all you have to worry about. Same thing with Gothitelle or any Trick Room setter, really. Another way you can use this Tera-type Terra Ghost is on Grimmsnarl. You know, Grimmsnarl can learn Fake Out, you know, you can use it that way. But if you want to use your Prankster ability, you know, use your Light Screen, your Reflect, your Trick, your Parting Shot, any status move, you know, you can't be faked out. You can't be stopped. You just get the move off for free. You can just do whatever you want because you can't get faked out. It just doesn't work. So using Terra types in this way is really, really useful this generation, and you're going to see it a lot. Onto the Ruin Mons. So the Ruin Mons are really good, especially Shenpao, just because, you know, Ice as a offensive type is really good. You know, Dark type is pretty good too. You get Sucker Punch. You can use Terra Blast, Ice Shards, Sacred Sword's really good. Sacred Sword ignores the target stat changes, and its ability, you know, reduces the defense stat of 25%. You know, the defense stat is different from the defense stat change. So, you know, it lowers your defense and it ignores any boost you got. So you're just like, you just completely ignore the opponent. You can use Sacred Sword for free. Crunch is pretty good. You know, using this ability next to your team, you know, anything that's really especially bulky, you're not really worried about, you know, your defense stat anyway. You can use this Shenpao next to something like that and just do lots and lots of damage and not really suffer too much like negative effect. Same idea with Chi-Yu. You know, you can use it as really offensive, you know, Nasty Plot, Overheat, Heat Wave, but you can also use it defensively. You can use Will-O-Wisp. You know, this thing's got really high special defense. You can use Light Screen. You can use, it's got Reflect too. Yeah. It's got Ruination. Ruination does half the target's current HP. This has just got really good moves. It's got Snarl. It's got Sunny Day if you really want it. It's a pretty good mon too. Wo-Chien. This thing, it lowers the attack stat by 25%. You know, you gotta be careful for your teammates because, you know, you gotta remember it lowers your teammates' attack stat. So you gotta be really careful. You're probably gonna have a lot of special attackers on that team. But this thing gets Ruination too. And it has really good special defense. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the attack stat too much, just because you already have pretty good defense. Your special defense is really high. You can use Snarl. You know, just really have just like good double coverage of defenses. You can use Sunny Day. You can use Reflect, Light Screen. This thing gets Ruination too. So you can use it just really defensively, and your opponent can't do too much about it other than just knock it out. And then finally we have Ting Lu. Ting Lu is the same idea, but this thing is going to be used a lot on weakness policy teams. It gets Bulldoze. Bulldoze, you know, you can just like Terra Rock type, just like lower your speed, get that super effective damage. This thing gets Body Press. You can just max out your defense. I mean, look at this, 130 defense. You can just max that out. You have really high HP too. I mean, you also lower the special attack stat of your other Pokemon on the other team, you know, and your team as well. And you should be careful for that. But you know, you have really high defense, and you essentially have really high special defense too. So you don't even gotta worry about anything too much. So this thing's gonna be really, really bulky. You can put like leftovers on it, whatever. It does not get screens, so you gotta watch out for that. You gotta find another like moveset, but it does get Ruination, I believe. Yep, gets Ruination, gets Snarl, gets Sunny Day. It gets Rock Tomb if you really want, like if you have like a fast team and you just happen to have Ting Lu on it, so you can use it that way. And yeah, but these bonds are really, really good, and they don't even have to be offensive. Like you can put Taunt on this thing, you know, Will-O-Wisp on this thing, you know, really just mess with your opponent's stats. So the Protosynthesis mons. Protosynthesis is while Sunny Day or Booster Energy is active, the highest stat is 1.3 times, you know, ignoring HP, or 1.5 times if speed. So, you know, you get a Choice Scarf boost on speed, or you can get a Life Orb boost without any recoil on any of your other stats. Like, imagine if, like, you had Body Press for defense, you get, like, a Life Orb boost, or just, you know, special defense. You don't have any moves that go with that. But, you know, imagine it has like a Life Orb boost. It just gets higher. Booster Energy, essentially how it works is like if Sunny Day isn't active for Protosynthesis, it won't activate, but if Sunny Day is down, it will activate, and as soon as you switch out, you're going to lose your Protosynthesis ability. So you got to be pretty careful with how you manage the sun. Like if your opponent can switch in like a sandstorm or like hail or rain, you got to be careful with that. But usually you can manage boost energy pretty well and only use it when you have to. You know, Brute Bond is really good. Get Spore, Body Press, Rage Powder, Protect, obviously. You know, you want Protect on this guy. Or you can use like Clear Smog. You can like really just mess with your opponent, just get rid of all their stats. Especially with Dondozo. Dondozo is like a big deal. You know, it gets unaware, so, you know, ignores stat changes, or you can be oblivious, can't be intimidated, can't be taunted. It has really bulky stats, other than special defense, but like, you know, it has really high attack too. It has low speed, but you know, you're not worried too much about that. But if you pair with Tatsugiri, you get +2 to all Dondozo's stats. Dondozo can't switch out. Tatsugiri can't switch out either, and it also can't attack. So you may as well, like, you know, not really put attacks on this guy, but if you want to, you can. Helping Hand or something, anything like that. But you know, really mess with Dondozo. Brute Bond's really good for that. Fluttermane is just insanely offensive. Just, you know, choice Scarf, essentially. Choice Specs. You know, if you want to do something like this, you know, you're gonna get a Protosynthesis boost for your speed, but you also have choice specs, so you can do something like that. Screamtail, you can do essentially anything you want. You can be really like helping your team. It's got screens, it's got Helping Hand, Calm Mind, Stored Power. You can also make it really offensive, as I showed you here. You know, you can lower your IVs, and you can make your special attack your highest stat. You're still really bulky. You're still pretty fast. You still have good defenses. You're really high HP, but you know, your special attack's really high too. So you can do like lots of coverage moves and really be a threat that way. Roaring Moon, really offensive. Gets Tailwind. Just gets lots of coverage moves. Gets Snarl if you really want it. You can be supportive. Gets Roost, I guess, but you don't really want to use it that way. Breaking Swipe can be really helpful that way. Really offensive. This guy's just gonna be offensive almost always. Great Tusk, kind of defensive mon. It gets Bulldoze. It's kind of supportive. It's like support plus it can do a lot of damage if it wants to. So it'll activate Weakness Policy a lot. You know, it's pretty slow. You can pick it like decently slow. It's kind of middling, so it's not the greatest. But like, if you wanted to, you could use it for Trick Room. It gets Body Press, so that's a really good move, especially with this really high defense stat. You can put a Assault Vest on it to take care of that special defense stat being all messed up. But he can be offensive if he wants to. You can't really use your special attack like you can with Screamtail, but yeah, you have lots of options. You know, Scary Face, Rock Tomb. You can lower speed and stuff. Sandy Shocks, same kind of idea. Use Bulldoze, get some Weakness Policy activated. You know, you can make your speed your highest. You can Bulldoze that way. You can do like Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Discharge. You can pair it with like Grimmsnarl, like Fallout. What is it? Fake Tears? Yeah, Fake Tears. So you can do that. You know, really useful that way. And then finally for Protosynthesis we have Slitherwing. You know, really offensive too. You can do special attack or attack. You know, it gets Flare Blitz, First Impression, Close Combat, Bulk Up. I guess Acrobatics if you really want to. Let's see. Will-O-Wisp, be a little bit supportive. Wild Charge, you can Terastallize Electric. Yeah, it's really offensive too, but it can be supportive. You know, it has really good stats. 85 HP is not bad. 79 defense isn't too bad. 105 is really good special defense. So it can be defensive, but mostly you'll see this as like an offensive Pokemon. So the Quark Drive Mons aren't going to be as useful as the Protosynthesis Mons because Torkoal is a really good sunsetter. You can use Torkoal to set up the sun, but Quark Drive as of right now only has one good electric terrain setter, and I use good in quotes because it is Pincurchin, and Pincurchin is a bad Pokemon, and they got rid of Rising Voltage, so it's even worse. It's not even as good as it was last generation, where you could use Rising Voltage, and you can already imagine it barely had any use. But if you can use it if you want to, if you think these Pokemon are good enough, like, to justify needing Electric Terrain. But Iron Bundle, you know, it can be offensive supportive. It has Aurora Veil, and then Blizzard, Icy Wind, Ice Beam. Some really good, you know, ice moves. Gets Flip Turn if you want. You can taunt really fast. But a lot of times it's more supportive, you know. Icy Wind you're going to see on almost every set. Blizzard you're going to see on almost every set. Ice Beam is pretty common. Aurora Veil is pretty common. You're going to see those moves a lot. Iron Hands, this is one of those mons you can use like weakness policy for. You can use weakness policy for almost any Pokemon, just because you can just like Terastallize and like Bulldoze or something that way. But this is a naturally slow Pokemon. Like, you can just really slow this thing down. Just raise its attack stat as high as you want. I mean, like, look at this, 416 level 100. That's really, really high. You gotta remember you're getting a Quark Drive boost. So that's like Life Orb plus, and then you can do like weakness policy on top of that. So I mean, this Pokemon can be really, really dangerous. You know, close combat's an insane move, especially with your fighting stab. Rock Slide's good. If you're slow, you can flinch and stuff if you need to. Wild Charge is very, very good. You have really high HP, so Wild Charge barely can do any recoil. Earthquake's good. Heavy Slam, Iron Head, I think it has. Just a really good slow Pokemon. Iron Dragulus is kind of like Hydreigon, but has like a little bit better moves, a little bit like more utility, I guess. Gets Dark Pulse, Hydro Pump, Earth Power, Snarl. Snarl's good. Gets Flash Cannon, Flamethrower. You can't really use this like a mixed attacker or anything, but has pretty good moves. Iron Moth, you know, it gets Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, Discharge. Gets lots of coverage. Flash Cannon, Overheat. You know. Terra Blast if you want to. I think it gets Sludge Wave, right? Let's see. Yeah, it gets Sludge Wave. You can use a Poison move. You know, you can Terra type it to whatever you want. It does not get Quiver Dance anymore though, so you gotta watch out for that. You know, if you thought, you know, Volcron is insane now, Fire Poison, Terastallize, whatever, Quiver Dance, it doesn't work. It doesn't get Quiver Dance. But it has really, really high special attack, 140 base special attack, 110 speed, 110 special defense. You Quark Drive, you can raise your speed or something. Get like a choice like specs on this. It can be a crazy attacker. Iron Thorns, not the greatest despite all these stats. It has high HP, high attack, high defense, high special defense. It seems like it's pretty good. It's rock type. You know, you can use it for weakness policy. But it just, I don't know, it feels really weak when I use it. It gets Dragon Dance, but you know, you're not going to use it too much. It only has 72 speed. It has good coverage moves: Iron Head, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Wild Charge. You know, is there anything else good on here? I mean, not really. Volt Switch if you really want to. It just feels really weak whenever I use it. I don't know if like I'm using it wrong or what, but it's just not the greatest, despite the stats. Iron Treads, same thing. You know, it gets good defense, good speed, good attack, good HP. But everything's just kind of middling. Just other things are better than it. I guess that's the problem. Same thing with Iron Thorns. There's just other things that are better. You just don't want to use these Pokemon because you could be using something that's better. But you know, it has good coverage. Just has lots of good moves. You know, weakness policy, what have you. It's pretty good, but you know, it doesn't feel the best because you know, other things can be better. Iron Valiant, really good. You can make the stats whatever you want. You can Quark Drive whatever stat you want. You can make it Scarf. You can make it like Life Orb, special attack, Life Orb attack with no recoil, obviously, and then like spread moves, close combat, special attack, physical attack, Leaf Blade, Energy Ball, Focus Blast. You can use almost any move. Icy Wind, Liquidation. You know, Shadow Claw, probably not. You probably use like Tera Blast or something there. X-Scissors, okay. You know, but you have lots and lots of options. You can catch your opponents off guard really easily. And it's pretty fast too, 116 base. Like, that's really good. So the first team I'll be covering will be a sample Trick Room team. We're really going to be covering the strength of Farigiraf as a Trick Room setter. So I mentioned earlier how you can use like Terra type Ghost to, you know, set up your Trick Rooms. Farigiraf doesn't really need that. Its ability Armor Tail protects itself and its allies from priority moves. So like, you don't even need to worry about like taunt or not like prankster taunt, I guess, fake out, anything like that. You don't even gotta worry about it. So you can use Mental Herb, you can cover like your regular bases. And we're gonna be using DDF to cover anything that Brute Bonnet can cover as far as sleep goes. And you know, Farigiraf just straight up cannot be stopped, and if you just like read your opponent's lead correctly, you just get a free Trick Room essentially. And it's really hard to KO it too, because you know you do have these Pokemon to stop, you know, whatever can KO it. So you get Trick Room up, you get Brute Bonnet with Spore, you know, Body Press does a lot of damage, you know, we're using that as its Protosynthesis ability with Torkoal. And it gets Clear Smog too to deal with Dondozo, as I mentioned earlier. You know, just a really good Pokemon, really bulky. It can be offensive too, unlike you know, regular Among Us. It does lose Regenerator, but Body Press is just like really good. We just use Leftovers instead. We use Booster Energy with our Iron Hands. So we activate its Quark Drive, you know, just once. We use Terra type Flying just to avoid Ground type moves. We kind of have a hard time with Ground type moves just because like we have a triple ground weakness. So I just chose Terra type Flying just because it avoids that. It avoids like bulldozes we don't want to take, or like other things like that. We get Fake Out just for, you know, standard Fake Out coverage, stop other things if they don't have that, you know, Terastallization tactic. Close Combat's just an insanely powerful move. Iron Head's really good coverage, kills fairies. You know, if we Terra type Flying, we're not weak to fairy anymore, and we KO them too. Wild Charge is a really good move. You know, we don't barely take any recoil. Really high HP stat. Torkoal, a lot of times we're going to see like double coverage on our Torkoals this generation, just because Eruption is just too good to pass up. Almost every Torkoal is going to run Eruption if you run Trick Room, because you can just do Terra type Fire, get a 2x boost to your Eruption, just 150 base power, 2x boost in the sun. I mean, there's not much that can stop that. It does just way too much damage. Body Press is a good move. You know, we're just going to be covering our bases, being able to use our defensive stat offensively. We got Protect. We don't want to fall to things too quickly. We want to be able to stall things out if we have to. You know, like that Yawn turn. If we use Yawn, we want to be able to protect afterwards if we have to. You know, or just like read their Fake Out or whatever. You know, if Psychic Terrain's not up. Yeah, I mean, Yawn's just really good. Puts things to sleep alongside with Brute Bonnet. A lot of times we find yourself like double sleeping with this team, so that would be really useful. And DDF and Armor Rouge are a combo. You know, double Psychic with Psychic Surge. You know, increase special defense with Psychic Seed. Follow Me, Expanding Force gets off. That's just too much damage. Helping Hand if you think you're faster, if you know you're faster. Expanding Force. Dazzling Gleam, some good coverage for fighting. You know. Dark. A lot of Pokemon are dark in this generation. A lot of the Protosynthesis Pokemon are dark type or fighting type, so that's a good coverage for that. Heat Wave. Heat Wave's just a good move, but if you don't want to use Heat Wave, like you're worried about like Wide Guard or something, you can use Armor Cannon. It's like a close combat equivalent for Armor Rouge here for fire type, and that just deals like a lot of damage. So that's good. We use Terra type Psychic just so we can do a lot more damage with our Expanding Force on our Psychic, and you know, get a lot of help from our Indeedee here. Yeah. So the second team I'll be covering is more of like a balanced offensive team. You know, balanced in the sense that like you have really high attack stat Pokemon and really high special attack stat Pokemon. Roaring Moon has really good coverage with Iron Head, Throat Chop, Rock Slide. We Terra type Steel here because we do not want to deal with Fairy types too much. This thing's quadruple weak, this thing's double weak, this thing's weak. We Terra type Steel him too, just in case. But like a lot of our Mons are weak to Fairy moves, so just makes sense to Terra type Steel just defensively, since this thing doesn't really need offensive help. He just has a really high attack stat. We're gonna be boosting it with our Protosynthesis with Torkoal. We don't really need the speed stat. He's already really fast, 119 base speed. He's gonna be getting up Tailwind, so he's gonna be really fast half the time anyway. Rock Slide for standard coverage. Throat Chop. Throat Chop stops like Hyper Voice from Sylveon or something if it's switching in. But it's just a really good dark type move. Same base power as all the other strong options that we have. So Throat Chop just makes sense just to stop that, or stop things similar to that. Anything sound based. Breloom is our Rage Powder answer, I guess. And our Sleep Mon. We can ignore Rage Powder, put things to sleep that don't want to be put to sleep. So like if a Trick Room setter only has Brute Bonnet or a Moongus or anything with Rage Powder, I guess next to it, we can still spore that Trick Room user. Bullet Seed Terra type Grass does a lot of damage to a lot of things. It can OHKO a lot of stuff. Like 50% of the time, you only need like 3 hits. I know like some of the Protosynthesis Mons just straight drop to Breloom. So this is really useful. Drain Punch, just to ensure that we keep our focus actually. We take just a tiny bit of damage, and then Mach Punch, take out stuff like Shenpao, or just anything that's like weak to fighting, or just has a small amount of HP left. Just really good coverage. Really good to have priority sometimes. Shenpao itself, permanent Intimidate, I guess. Reduced by 25%. That's really good next to Roaring Moon, Breloom, Iron Valiant, and itself, of course. You just gotta be careful, like lowering your own defenses. But Icicle Crash, just its best move. You're not gonna miss 90 accuracy moves too much. Has the most base power of any of all of its other options. Ice Shard just for priority. Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword's gonna ignore any of the stat changes. You gotta deal with Throat Chop, same reason as Sylveon. You should want to stop Sylveon. It's been seeing a lot of use recently. Here in the first couple days of the metagame. So that stops that, and it's just like our best base power move for Dark type. We're using Choice Specs Fluttermane. Just does so much damage. Choice Scarf plus Choice Specs combo. Icy Wind slows everything down. Breloom can spore stuff that's usually slower than with Icy Wind. Roaring Moon can attack without even having to Tailwind. Shenpao, same thing. Torkoal's not going to benefit too much from it, but that's fine. Iron Valiant, he's not the fastest too. He will be, like, depending on your stats, but he won't be like the fastest ever. Icy Wind helps with that. Shadow Ball's really good coverage, just makes sense. Ghost type. Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, we're Terra Fairy. These are going to do a lot more damage once we Terra type. And just regular stabs, a 2x boost. Torkoal, kind of a standard set. You're going to see this a lot. Eruption just does so much damage, especially in the sun. Body Press, we did a lot more defense EVs than our previous team. It's going to do a lot of damage. It's just a good offensive option without having to invest too much in other EVs. Yawn is going to put stuff to sleep, if you don't want to use Breloom but you still want to sleep things, you can use Torkoal. You can use both. A lot of the times I find myself using both. Protect, same reason as the last team. You just don't want to get faked out. You want to be able to stall things. You want to, use it in that purpose. Iron Valiant. We have Protect for same reason as Torkoal. We just want to be able to stall things out because a lot of the times we're not going to be stopping Trick Room other than like sleep or knocking things out. So being able to protect is good. Has Moonblast, just fairy coverage. Dazzling Gleam fairy coverage. Double Dazzling Gleam with Fluttermane. Really, really good. Fairy type's just a really good typing. And then we put Close Combat. Because Close Combat just does just a whopping 120 base power, you know, already stab boosted. We actually put a choice scarf on this set, essentially. So with our booster energy, we have a one switch in choice scarf, and this will allow us to have as much attack and special attack as physically possible. You know, they're both 332, so these are as high as possible. Just you know, general coverage, just having them the same. Just because you don't know what you're going to run into, since the metagame's so early, you want to be able to like cover your bases and not be too weak in one or the other. Yeah, so this team just covers all of its bases, puts things to sleep, stops Trick Room that way, you know, and then just goes all out with the offenses. I hope this video helped you guys understand the uses of Terastallization and the new Protosynthesis and Quark Drive abilities, and the new Ruin Mons. I'll leave the 2 teams in the description for you to use, and I plan on making more of these videos in the future, so if you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. If you want to see more stuff like this, once again, please like and subscribe, and feel free to make suggestions on how I can make this content better in the comment section.